so happy to be here today and having the honor of introducing my team. We've been working together for the last couple of weeks to make sure that we present something that will suit all our areas of expertise, but also that will answer, hopefully, a few questions that you might have about socio-emotional learning. We're here to share something that is a passion of ours. So my colleagues, please do come up on stage. We have Joyan, Faten, Shraddha, and Shilpa. Please give them a round of applause. Okay? Have a seat. It's a tough act to follow this morning with the keynote speakers and all the great questions that were asked. We're adding the element of, I would say, beyond the global vision of what's happening in the world, the need for good online platforms to support learning. We want to bring in the human element into it today, and that's why our topic is, supporting socio-emotional development and how it relates to how the brain works. So without further ado, I would like to have our first speaker, Shilpa, to start the presentation for us. Shilpa?
A very warm morning, everyone. It's so nice to see so many educators. Thank you. In this platform, it's a really honor to be here on this stage today and speaking to you. Can we start our presentation? Just bear with us for a second. So while we get our clicker,
Here's a clicker, honey.
Okay.
So your left or right. Left is, you can go.
Yeah. So we are here today talking a lot about changing the education, the future of education, and how it will benefit the learners. And with that, we have this social emotional learning, which is very important. As educators, you all know what's social emotional learning, but there is a different angle with the social emotional learning in the whole school approach. Here we are to give you a fair idea how it works. My co-panelist will be talking more about the basic 5 core competencies, which you all know. So these are the 5 core competencies that you all be knowing about. When they started to build the social emotional learning in the classroom, they found a small lack, and there is an incomplete structure for the component, and that is the cognitive skill. I'm here to talk a little bit about the cognitive skill, which is the combination of the 5 core competencies, which has been modified with 3 main domains, which is executive functioning and social interpersonal skill and emotional competency. So when we talk about executive functioning skill, it's more about how to plan, how to execute, how to understand. And when we talk about social emotional interpersonal skill, it's understanding the social cues that you're getting from your colleagues, from your peers. And when you talk about educational emotional skills, it is to address somebody else's feeling because their perspective is totally different. And the main important competency is the cognitive flexibility, which has 3 important aspects. It is the awareness, the confidence, and the adaptability. When we look at awareness, you should always be aware of what's happening around you and you should be able to be flexible to adapt according to the situation. And the second is the confidence. The confidence is very important to be built at the early age, and they should be able to adapt. If you're flexible, then you will be able to be there for the situation and take up the responsibility of the situation and move on. And adaptability, again, it is the same thing where you should be able to take up the challenge on the spot, because life throws a lot of challenges. It never gives you a heads up. So you should be able to take it, adapt, and be aware of what's happening around so that you will be able to connect. So here it's very important to give a whole school approach. We all know it is important to have this social emotional learning happening. It is there for adults, for children, and everybody is there in that space where we all should understand, and it has to be there for the community, not for an individual. Earlier, it was only for the special children where they were not having the cognitive skill or they have a learning disability, but not anymore. After pandemic, it is with every one of us that we need to learn how to connect socially, emotionally with each other. And we have these 5 programs, which is very important to build in our education system. And I would like to just show you glimpses of what we do at our school. So, to enhance growth mindset, this is a simple thing which everybody can have it in your classroom. We do it on a daily basis. These are simple classroom norms where we keep repeating it to the students to read this on a daily basis and inculcate, make it a habit. And it starts very early as our foundation years, where we have this introduced in the form of reading. They read the story of Pete the Cat, where in this book, the writer says, if you fall down, don't worry, don't be scared. You just move on by singing a song. So there's a small picture of the child in the foundation years where she fell down, came to the teacher and said, see, I have a scratch on my hand, but I didn't cry. I'm good. I sing a song, move on. And this is one other program for primary. It's called Promethean, where we encourage lateral thinking. And we encourage them to have the mindset of do not give up. They have a lot of challenges. It's completely out of academics. They will be given puzzles, games. It's not grade appropriate. It will be higher, it will be lower, it can be anything. They have to just take up the challenges on the table, move on, have an attitude of do not give up. If I can't solve it today, okay, I'm good. I'll try tomorrow. And these are a simple morning routine for our middle and high schoolers. They start their day with expressing their emotions. You can just read the slides, it's all there. And it's important to address and understand and be there with them. And this is major concern in every school, bullying. And we are fortunate that it's very mild at our school because we have this social emotional learning introduced at very early ages, and these are some examples where our grade 1 and 2 students, they will have the teachers telling them to use the right sentence starters. You will not be discouraged in your classrooms along with your friends. You have to try saying things differently. You encourage your peers. Tell them you have to share your thoughts. Maybe they have a different perspective, but you should try to make it positive. Here are some examples. You have to teach them to say differently. May I share a different solution for this instead of telling that you're wrong and I'm right? And a grade 3 we have a mixed classroom, and we have a child who is with a LD as his, I can't say it's a diagnosis, but it's there. He didn't choose for it. So our teacher decided to introduce this book which speaks about a girl, Amelia Bedelia, where she's very different in her classroom, and she has her own perspective. So where the teacher says, draw the curtain, and Amelia will think she has to write or draw a curtain on a piece of paper. And it's a very different perspective. She understood that drawing a curtain is to sketch, not to close the curtain. And if you tell her to put the light off, she'll remove the lights, throw it out. She's right from her own way of thinking, but she's a little different. So we need to understand how she's thinking. Maybe we have to start connecting with her, try to understand. If she can't come to our level of understanding, we might have to try different ways to connect with her. And our grade 10 students, being an upstanders, they promote mental wellness and be there for the juniors. And yet another thing is working out the conflict. There are different things happening all around the world. Everybody will have their own perception, and it's important to listen and resolve the conflict in a very progressive discussion. I would like to thank all of you for giving this opportunity, and I would like to you to take a look at this and think about it.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Shraddha, and I am the head of early years, and I own an enrichment ARCA Academy in India. Today, I will be talking about the role of parents, teachers, environment in the development of socio-emotional learning. As with a good kickstart by Deanne today, she spoke about how important it is to deal with socio-emotional needs in children, which was well not recognized and has been recognized very well due to the pandemic that we all have gone through. When we talk about SEL, which is socio-emotional learning, there are certain things that we look forward to as educators. One would be emotional management, decision-making in children, empathy, that everybody is different, understand and develop relationships and cherish them. As teachers and educators, everybody has their own way to deal with socio-emotional needs and learning at their level, I'm sure. And we as educators try our best to make sure that we come up with innovative ways. As per my understanding and my experience, I feel the learners must be given an opportunity to create, and the educators should give them a nurturing environment, because environment is the third teacher. Integrating socio-emotional learning in the curriculum is what we have recently started, understanding its importance. Communicate. It's okay to say that you're not okay. Empower. Controlling your own socio-emotional needs. COVID-19 and socio-emotional learning. As we had a lot of discussion about this with Deanne and Mac as well. So there's just a little bit of touch-up on that. That socio-emotional learning is very important because it's a massive shift and a total flip for the learners, for the students. I think it's the most harsh thing that has happened to them. At the age where they are supposed to explore, go for excursions, they were in the room, they were in-house, tied up because of the pandemic. So providing them and telling them that online learning is a new way of learning, wearing masks is compulsory, is something which was very difficult for them to accept and move on. As a mother of two girls, I had a harsh time at home as well. You know, getting them used to this new way of living for 2 long years. Implementing socio-emotional learning in the classroom. Define and verbalize emotions, as we discussed this earlier in the slide. Getting through play. Play is the best way the children learn. And play therapy is something that I actually believe and work on with my kids in my center. Learning through stories. Kids are storytellers, and they learn and experience emotions better at an early age through stories. So this is one thing that I realized that it works wonders with the children. These are some more strategies that we use at our school. Discussing diversity, creative writing, reflection, group problem solving. Group problem solving because social skills is somewhere we look forward to working on. Other ways that we have tried and it has worked, because every child prefers a different way to learn and believe and overcome their socio-emotional needs, are journal writing, read alouds, class meetings, art, a very creative expression to get socio-emotional learning in place. Taking responsibilities, giving them a choice rather than telling them what to do. Getting them to activities and learning centers to encourage problem-solving skills along with logical reasoning. Positive self-talk, mindfulness, very important for us as well as children. Encourage kindness. Games, again, play. We set up SMART goals. I'm sure everybody is aware about what SMART goals are at our center. Practice respectfully disagreeing. It's hard for anybody to hear a no. So that's one more component in mindfulness that we cater to. Some of my favorite strategies are the porch one, which says you identify the problem, you explore options, learn the outcome for it, and choose an option to reflect. The next favorite of mine is the Rosebud-thon. Something positive that happened this week. Something that you look forward to next week, and something that you need help with. Calm Me Down, the most favorite and the easy one for the learners. Involving families is a very important need because I believe a three-way communication between the teacher, the educator, the parent, environment, and the child at the center can help in socio-emotional learning, and it works wonders. Some of the ways where we suggest as parents, and I as a parent tried with my two daughters, was getting board games. I'm sure everybody must have done this during the pandemic. It has got us all closer to family. Getting for a mindful walk, though we couldn't go outside during the pandemic, but we can try now. Writing a journal, reading picture books, mindful coloring, Smart Goals Kids Challenge, spy games, and compliment list, self-compliment list. So we tried, as a mother and an educator, we tried n number of strategies to make sure that socio-emotional learning is helping, and we are helping the learners and the kids grow better with a good state of mind. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you everyone for attending our panel discussion. My name is Fatin Ramadan. I'm head of auxiliary services from Qatar University. I have a master's degree in clinical social work, and I will be talking about the mental well-being. Closer? Yeah, sure. Okay. I will be talking about the mental well-being transition from school to university. I think this way it's better. Yeah. You guys can hear her? Usually people say that my voice is very low. I will try to make it up. Okay, so I will talk about the transitional period from school to university, because of course it's important to have the social emotional learning for this age group. First of all, I need to talk about some terms that are important and in sequence to know more about the social and emotional learning that is important for being having a mental well-being. First of all, the health in terms of whole organization, it's the complete health in terms of physical or emotional and well-being. Well-being is about that individual realizes their capabilities and they are able to deal with the normal life stressors and also can contribute to the community. Social capital, it's like having a value of relationship of people who live or work together, and they have and share the knowledge they own. When we have social capital, we will definitely contribute to the asset-based community development, where communities, they focus on their strength in order to look and get out of the opportunities out there. If we have asset-based community development, then we will be, of course, contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals. Those are a collection of 17 interlinked global goals to make a blueprint in order to achieve better and more sustainable future for all. In case we don't have all of what I said, definitely that will lead to a mental disorder. Of course, like some aspects will affect. The mental disorder is having a health problem that significantly interfere and affects the person's life, and it will make it difficult to deal with normal life stressors. Some facts there, it says that in research, it says that the emotional center in the brain is closely interconnected with the cognitive centers of learning. And mental disorder is one of the main disabilities worldwide. It causes 14% of diseases globally. The mental disorder definitely, it affects how we think and how we react. So it affects the cognitive, social, emotional abilities of the individual, and of course it will affect what my colleague also talked about, the emotional and social learning. Anxiety and depression are the most common among university students. So when we talk about social and emotional learning, we talk about the balance and well-being of the students that will definitely prevent from having any mental disorder. Some facts about the students' transitional period from school to university. It says that this is the major development in this age group happens biologically, psychologically, socially, and even spiritually. So this age group, of course, they need enough sleep, diet, positive interaction, and psychological and social interaction in order to have the best of them. Most of this age group are between the age of 19 to 24. The main theme of this age group is interaction, development, as well as sequence of events in transition. As per the development theory, it says that this age group, definitely, if they have good social and learning development through the childhood and school, definitely the transitional period to the university will be easier. And as per the system theory, having the school and the home and friendship is all components that affects the relation of the student, and they will make them better learning socially and emotionally. What are some of the actions that were taken worldwide in order to make it better for all of the communities? They put some goals and some of the national vision and health strategies that will definitely make it healthier population. Definitely also one of the actions we have to understand the need of this age group transitional period from school to university, as well as that social workers in schools and universities can develop suitable strategies that are, of course, evidence-based for prevention and intervention. CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, and mindfulness are found also suitable to decrease the university student stress. Why I spoke about students' transitional period to universities? because we talked about the primary, secondary school, but we definitely have to also focus on this age group because they have the major development. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so this is all what I have. Thank you very much for listening. I just want to give the mic for my colleague, Miss Joyan.
Hi, I'm Joanne, and I am a speaker, I'm a coach, and before that I used to be a lecturer, but now I run my own coaching company. So I'm here to talk about leadership coaching for educators. Right, why is it important? Because in order to develop social emotional learning environment for the students, you need to first develop strong social emotional skill for the educators, true or true. Because then they will be able to teach and model those skills to the students. Just last month, I had a coaching client, and let's call her Ruby. So Ruby, she just started her new job as a preschool teacher. And in one of our coaching sessions, she came to me and she asked me this question. She asked me, Joanne, how do you deal with a coworker who is being rude for no reason? She said, even you have confronted them, and they said there's no reason. And she told me it has been bothering her since the first day she joined the school, and she doesn't really know what to do. So as a coach, my job is to help her, and in order to help her, I needed more information to make a more accurate assumption about the situation. So I asked her to give me some examples. And so this is one of the examples that she gave me. She said, okay, so, I told staff A that we had an event coming up, and we need to work on the script for a play at the event. And she looked annoyed. She looked annoyed, and she even made an annoying sound, and she said to me, well, you're not married, and you don't have much to do. Well, when I hear that, it became very obvious to me that staff A, she's taking her personal issue to the workplace, to the school, which is not very healthy, which is not very professional. And the truth is, it's normal for us to, as a result, my client Ruby, she had to question what did she do wrong. She won't question her own capabilities to teach. And, it's normal for us to question ourselves when something goes wrong in the external world, or when we experience an unfair treatment, or when we have to deal with a difficult person or a difficult situation. But here's the truth, and this is what I told her at the end of our coaching session. I said, how other people treat you is a reflection of them, not you. But how you react is a reflection of you. And she's the one who needs a coach, true or true. So this is a perfect example of why is it so important for us as leaders, as educators, as managers to first develop our social emotional skill. Then we'll be able to become a more conscious and effective leader. Because you don't only teach students by what you write on the whiteboard or by reading out loud what is written in the textbook. They learn by modeling what you do. They learn by modeling what you say, your action, your behaviors, and how you interact with others. So this is what I want to talk to you about. And, it's shown that teachers, when they are emotionally exhausted, they may use reactive and punitive responses that contribute to negative classroom environment and student-teachers relationship, and also relationship with your staff member and relationship with your co-workers. So I would say, unfortunately, your well-being, teachers' well-being is often at the bottom of the to-do list. So this is what I'm here to talk about. I'm going to talk about some basic strategies, right? Because I think we are running out of time, so I'm just going to quickly run through the strategies with you. So how do we develop self-awareness? In order to develop self-awareness, here's what I want you to do. When you're being upset about a student's behavior, for example, or when you're feeling impatient or when you're feeling annoyed, when a colleague asks you for something, I want you to pause and I want you to ask yourself this question. Why am I so short-tempered? Why am I feeling impatient? Why am I feeling annoyed? When you give yourself that little pause, when you ask yourself a question, your mind always delivers an answer. All right, because I didn't sleep well last night. All right, because this morning I had a fight with my spouse. And I want you to reflect, and I want you to accurately perceive those feelings and emotions and respond, not react. Right? I know it does sound like a long process, but it all happened within a split second all in your mind. Now, self-management. When it comes to self-management, so often as leaders, as educators, as managers, we think we are not allowed to make mistakes. Or we think we are not allowed to fail at something because then it means we are disqualified from doing our job. But do you think in life it's possible to avoid making mistakes, or it's possible to avoid failures? Well, I would say it's impossible to believe so, right? So when it comes to self-management, what does it mean? Instead of avoiding a mistake, or instead of avoiding failures, admit it, own it out, because so often we are so afraid to own out our mistake when we make one. But instead of avoiding it, acknowledge it as soon as you can. Then find a solution, rectify, move on from it. The more comfortable you become with this process, the less you will find yourself needed. And the best part is, how you deal with a mistake when you make one, especially in front of your student, is the best time and also the best way to teach them what to do when they make a mistake. Or how do they handle their so-called failures. I don't believe in failures, and I don't believe there is such thing as failure, as Matt said earlier, right? Now, social awareness. In order to build healthy relationship, in order to build healthy learning environment, you need to be aware of, you need to respect others' perspective. And as your self-awareness deepens, it increases your awareness of others as well. And as your awareness of others increases, it also increases your communication and your leadership skill. And you will be able to lead from a place of compassion and authenticity. So what does it mean? Well, it's not always easy to to see from another person's point of view. But if you are teaching in an international school, especially when two people have different cultural backgrounds, different upbringing, different set of values, and different set of belief, you have to first understand, right? First understand that what you're seeing is just your own perspective. And your own perspective is not the only truth, right? It's not the only truth. So you have to be compassionately curious about the other person. And when you're curious about the other person, then you will be able to understand where they're coming from. You'll be able to appreciate their behavior. Even if it's inappropriate behavior, it doesn't mean they are bad kids. It doesn't mean they are bad students, right? Because people are not their behaviors. Remember this, people are not their behaviors. So when you can appreciate people's behavior, you will be able to, at any given time, you will be able to approach any given situation with compassion, respect, and care. And that leads me to the next point, responsible decision making, right? So decision making is a huge part in our day-to-day life, right? And that means when it comes to teaching, it's the choices that you make when it comes to giving instruction to your students and your classroom management style. And you are also preparing your students to become decision makers themselves. I would say, don't help your students make a decision, but rather give them the tools and resources to help them help themselves make the best decision for themselves, right? Because when it comes to education and leadership, I'm a strong believer of don't give a man a fish, but teach a man how to fish. So help them find out their motivators, help them find out their goals, their desires, their hopes, their aspirations, their strengths, their weaknesses, and recognize that your role as educators, as leaders, is to help them, support them in their process of making a decision, and recognize that their process can be and will be very different from yours. Now, last but not least, relationship skill, right? Because ultimately what you're really doing is that you are building relationship with your students, with your staff member, with your co-workers. Becoming good at building relationship is not easy, right? It requires you to master all of the skills that I just mentioned earlier. Higher self-awareness, strong self-management, social awareness, and responsible decision-making. And in order to achieve that, you have to first work on building the most important relationship in your life, which is the relationship you have with yourself. Because if you are not, I'm sure you have heard of this before, right? You can't take care of anyone else until you have taken care of yourself. You can't give what you don't have. If you are not in a good place, characterized by balance, by peace, by joy, by passion, compassion, you are likely in no position to do your best work or be the best teacher or the best leader or the best employee in your organization. So this is my quick sharing for coaching the staff, and I just want to say as a summary that we cannot control all aspects of our job, and we can't control what happens in the external world, but we can always control our internal world. So with a strong social emotional skill, you will be able to create an open, safe, positive, and uplifting environment for both the students and also the teachers. So I only hope that it will become a part of every school's priority. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joyanne.
I'll pass the mic to Michelle.
Incredible. Well done. Give them a round of applause, everybody.
Yes, yes. I'm on a timer here. Yes, so, I mean, we've gone through in just 30 minutes everything we wanted to know about SEL and Never Dared Ask, right? So, and here what I want to share with you is just a few very concrete things that I think we know the theory, we know what is good for the kids, and we sometimes forget to really look at how are we contributing, or sometimes not contributing, but actually hindering the children's self-development and socio-emotional learning skills. So I have here like what I call the fortune teller. Well-intentioned, how many parents here or teachers have ever told kids, and I'm one of them, oh, be careful, don't do this, you could get hurt. Oh, your shoelace is untied, you're gonna run and fall. I'm sorry, but nobody can tell the future that I know of, right? So we're depriving the kids of an opportunity to actually experience it themselves. I'm not talking about a life-threatening situation here. I'm talking about things that the kids can actually do, experience, try and fail, and live to talk about it, and live to learn from it as well. Or the judge. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of reprogramming to do from being told, oh, you're so good, you're so smart, when I was a little kid. And now I welcome kids at our school, at Panyaden International School, where they come to us and they're in grade 1 or grade 2, and they say, yeah, I don't want to do this, this is boring. Oh, yeah, no, this is too easy for me. And we know that these kids actually are just afraid of trying because they're afraid that they will lose face. They've been told so often that they were smart that when we put them in front of a challenge that they're not sure they will succeed at, they give up. That's not resilience. That's not supporting socio-emotional learning skills. So we need to step away from the judge, and we need to start actually not comparing, sorry. We need to start describing what we see. I see you worked hard on this task. I see you stayed focused for 15 minutes. Wow, how did you do that? And lead them to reflect on their own accomplishment. Yeah, the short-term view. This is kind of my pet peeve, actually. I mean, yeah, we moved away from punishment. We don't punish the kids anymore. Very few schools will say, yes, we're in favor of hating the kids. Yeah, we don't hate them physically, but we do hurt them in many other ways, right? And emotionally is a big way to hurt the kids as well. We talked today about the importance of giving kids choice. If you did something wrong and you get punished, what do we want to do? I don't know about you, but when I get punished, and I got punished a few times as a kid, I want to blame the teacher, I want to blame my friend who got me in trouble, and I build resentment. Where's learning in that situation? It was not there most of the time. Consequences enforced with loving kindness, that's what leads to learning. And that's what we need to think about. And giving them choice is one way to go with consequences. The star chart, once again, that's pitting the kids once against each other. I stopped using this when one of my students said, Michelle, I don't care about the stars. I know I'm never going to get enough stars to be at the top of the chart. Wow, what did I do to this kid? I still feel sorry about that. Should have learned earlier. But those kids they're the best teachers. Yeah, we saw that picture earlier today, right? So, when we get teachers at school, and we have a preschool, we go from preschool to graduation, and I have a new teacher who welcomes a 2, 3-year-old, 4-year-old kid crying because not happy to be at school the first day, even though we have a transition period. And then the teacher says, you're okay, you're okay. I said, what a liar. I'm sorry, but there's no other way to describe this. What are you teaching this kid? He's crying, she's bawling, and you're telling this kid that she's okay? What kind of teaching is that? And I'm sorry, I've done it too. So I'm not blaming anybody. But it's time we wake up and we move away from these comments. And that's what we talked about here. We need to train the teachers. If we don't train the teachers in looking after their own understanding of their own socio-emotional skills, how can they possibly teach that to the kids? Well, and compassion. I put compassion there instead of empathy, because this illustration of the two men there is when empathy is pushed a bit too far. That means empathy actually means feeling with. Somebody hurts and I feel it. How many of you have been in a situation where you saw somebody who somebody lost his wife, and people go to this man and they cry and cry and cry, and he ends up having to console and try to comfort them when he's the one who should be comforted. That's empathy going wrong. Compassion is what allows us to step back, that will focus us on actually doing something to help with the situation. And my favorite statement here, give the kids what they need. Don't give them what they want. Yeah, but he only likes spaghetti without sauce, and that's it. That's all he will eat, right? If you've been in schools where you provide lunch, you probably heard that from parents sometimes. Yeah, he doesn't eat that. Well, who knows what is good for this kid? You or the kid who's 6 years old and knows nothing about nutrition? That's our job. Let's not give it away on the guise of, I'm just making sure my child is happy or my students love me. Let's not fall for that one. And just to wrap it up here, mindfulness is the key. We talked about self-awareness, social awareness. If we don't start with being aware of our own emotional state right now, if we don't stop to be aware of all the filters that we have in front of our eyes that have been built over the years with our personal experiences with life, then, we can't see the kids, we can't see the reality for what it is. It's colored. So it starts with us, and training the staff is the key. If we don't do this, we fail. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists. Give them a round of applause. Michelle, the principal at Panyadan, I don't know if you've seen them on Instagram. Really interesting what they're doing. It's fantastic. I want to applaud you guys all for being here. And this is not only tools for children, but adults as well. We are habits of pattern. We're learning this when we're young, and we're repeating it as we're older, so you guys are impacting the world in the best space and the best time. So well done. I'm so proud to have you here, and we're really grateful to have you on the stage. Give them a round of applause, guys. Thank you.